Hi guys, my name's Cam and welcome to Ask Me I'm Bipolar. Now for this video, we're going to look at 5 key things you can do to help your anxious friend deal with change. Now to start with, I want to read you a little bit of an extract from one of the blogs I wrote called The Anxious Voice, so forgive me for looking away from the screen for a second. Everybody has a voice in their head. I'm talking about that little voice that pipes up in your mind at the most inconvenient times. Not some kind of external voice like what they mean when they say hearing voices, but more the normal internal voice that everyone has. The problem is for those of us with anxiety, this internal voice becomes the herald of doom and destruction. A forever negative commentator that consistently points out the flaws and possible complications of any situation. To read the rest of that blog, please click the little icon. There are loads of written blogs on my website, which is askmeimbipolar.com, and I do also write for the International Bipolar Foundation, and you can find some of my blogs on the Mighty as well. One of the things that causes the most pain and frustration when you live with anxiety is change. Now, I know and you know that we can't do anything about the fact that things change. Plans change, people change, situations change. That's just life. But how we deal with it is going to be significantly different from other people that don't experience anxiety. The aim of this video is for those of you who know someone with anxiety to understand what happens and how to do something about it. Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario. Imagine that you've planned to go out for a walk on Sunday with your friends. Now, a few days ago, one of your friends informed you that they're going to bring their dog along, and then come Friday, which is 2 days before this walk, another friend then tells you that they're going to bring their child along, let's say the child's age around 8. For a person that doesn't live with anxiety, that would be okay, right? I mean, you deal with it, it's not a problem. The walk may be a little slower than planned, but so what? I'm going to break this down for you on how the anxious voice works for those of us that do live with anxiety. So first of all, the first information, someone's bringing a dog. Initial reaction. What if the dog gets hurt? What if the dog runs away? What if the dog attacks someone? What if the dog can feel that I'm anxious? What if the dog can smell my cortisol levels? What if the dog feels my anxiety and then hates me because of it or attacks me because of it? What if the dog's really uncomfortable with the walk because it knows that I'm so anxious about it and I make the walk really unpleasant for the dog and therefore the owner, which is my friend, and then my friend doesn't like me because I've made their dog upset because I'm so stressed out? What if the dog then attacks somebody because I've stressed the dog out and because it knows that I'm so stressed out and that I've caused this entire situation where the dog ends up getting put down, someone's in hospital, and my friends never want to walk with me again? Okay, so that's the initial thoughts of the anxious voice, and then you have a few days to digest that, let's say, and you've got to Friday and you're like, okay, I'm alright with this, the dog is coming, I've spoke to the friend, they've told me that the dog's really comfortable around people, I'm going to meet the dog first, or whatever, is going to happen for me to calm my fears down. Then you get the information that the child is coming. Now the walk has changed anyway, you're going to be on edge the whole time because of the dog. Even though you've kind of accepted that that's what's happening, that the dog's coming and you're now okay with that, it doesn't change the fact that you're still panicking about it on a lower level. Now you hear about the child and your head goes boom. This brings out the anxious voice again. What if the dog attacks the child? Then there's a child injury. What if the child injures themselves walking? What if the child falls off the side of a cliff? What if the child picks up the fact that you're so stressed out about the dog and the child that the child then has a very unpleasant experience and you then influence the child to have anxiety in later life? What if the person with the child thinks that you're being really rude to their child when you're not actually rude, you're just kind of anxious, and then they don't like you anymore because of it? What if the child asks their parents, what's wrong with her? Why is she so stressed out? And just doesn't understand being a child, and for some reason then you will become the object of all the talking and the object of focus and you hate that. And so it goes on in your head, all these questions, all of them negative, everyone stemming from this unreasonable fear that's going on, because let's face it, anxiety is illogical. You probably actually know that this isn't going to happen, and you probably already realise that, you're not going to ruin the child's future and absolutely traumatise its life just because you're anxious on this walk, but that is what the anxious voice tells you. This works for any situation. Imagine you're going for lunch with a friend, and then the day before they tell you, oh, I'm actually bringing someone else along, and you don't really know this person. your brain explodes. Suddenly it's like, well, what if this person thinks I'm rude because I'm anxious? What if I don't act normal? What if I say something stupid? What if this person hates me for no apparent reason? You know, what if my friend then hates me because they think I'm being rude to their friend, even though I'm not being rude to their friend, I'm just anxious? What if everything goes wrong? What if we don't get on? Just so many questions. Unless you experience this, you will never understand just how much chaos happens when something changes. Like, it's so hard to explain to someone how all this fear and negativity just suddenly stream through your mind when you're a perfectly logical person most of the time, and they know that this is probably never going to happen. But it's like your brain is just going, yeah, that's logic, we'll leave that over there, but what about this? This could happen, this could happen, this could happen. And, you know, you can't do anything about it. You kind of just got to sit with it and let it run through. But bear in mind there are physical symptoms to this as well. So if you're dealing with anxiety, when someone comes up to you and goes, oh, by the way, I'm bringing my child with me, or whatever it may be, or, you know, some other person's coming along to our lunch date, then your body actually reacts to that. Your cortisol levels rise. You know, you could end up in a situation where you're feeling like you're about to have a panic attack. If you want to know what a panic attack feels like, please have a look at my other video. I've got one specifically talking about that. But either way, you know, you have this massive reaction to something that other people are just like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. All of us that live with anxiety understand that you shouldn't have to change what you want to do because of us and our fears. We don't want you to have to reorganize your plans or come up with different ways to do things. In fact, most of the time, it's one of our biggest fears that you have to do all these things because of us. So to help make this process easier, here's a list of 5 key things that will help your anxious friend deal with change. Number 1. Introduce the change slowly. This might be really annoying for you, but if you want your anxious friend to deal well with the change, you need to bring it in bit by bit. Give them enough time to be able to cope with it. If you have a plan on a Sunday, like I said in my example for a walk, and you want to introduce a dog or a child into that walk, tell them a couple of days beforehand. Don't spring it on them the day before, even 2 days before. I prefer it personally when people give me a week's notice when they're going to change something. The key to dealing with pretty much anything when it comes to anxiety is time. We need time to process it. We need time to become okay with it. And we need a slow introduction to whatever this new thing may be. Number 2, introduce one thing at a time. Think of each change that you introduce as a crisis that we have to manage. So when you're saying to us, oh, okay, I'm going to bring this other person along that you don't know, it's like panic stations, literally, for us. So we need to then, work out how we're going to react to that, calm ourselves down, have the reaction, sit with the fear for a while, realize that we're being illogical because we know we're being illogical, and then finally work on coping with the actual change. If you drop 3 changes on us at once, the dog, the child, and the new friend, we can't deal with that. It's 3 crises in one time. That's just going to blow our minds to the point that we're not going to be able to deal with it, and chances are we're just going to go, we're not coming. Number 3, ask questions. So now you understand how the anxious voice works, try and prepare for it. So you know what kind of things are going to come out of my mind the minute you drop that change on me. You know what kind of negative reactions are going to happen. So be ready with an answer. The dog isn't going to kill anyone because it's a well-trained dog. It's not got any history of that. The temperament's great. Its owner's great, etc. The child has been on walks before. They're not likely to fall off things. They're used to the environment or whatever it may be. But preempt the questions that my anxious mind is going to throw at me. That way, firstly, I realise that I'm being illogical, of course, and there are answers to these questions. But secondly, you look really, really prepared. Like you have completely managed this situation, and that level of calm is actually quite catching. If I feel that you are completely in control of this situation, I am more likely to feel calmer and less anxious about being in that situation with you. If, however, you start to get frustrated, especially with the fact that, my anxious voice is throwing out these questions, then my brain's just going to go, well, you're not calm about it. Why would I be calm about it? You can't answer the questions. You don't know the answer to these questions. Number 4, don't judge me based on other people. Now, as I've said multiple times, people with anxiety know they're anxious. We know we live with anxiety, and we know that it's illogical most of the time. Don't judge my reaction based on what you would do or what somebody else would do. Oh, I told so-and-so that I was bringing this friend to lunch and they were fine with it. Why aren't you? We're not them. We are people that live with anxiety, and the way our brains work, and not just our brains, bear in mind this is a physical reaction too. The way our hormones and our chemicals work, our cortisol levels, things like that, is completely different to how Joe down the street would have taken that same information. The worst thing you can do is then start chastising someone with anxiety for being anxious. It's not our fault that our brain is going to explode when you give us this information. You should really have known this before you told us. I mean, if you're our friend or our loved one, you've probably known us for a while. So you probably know that we were going to react quite badly to that, right? And finally, number 5, reassure us. It might seem really irritating to do, and it might seem like something that you have to do more than once, but nothing is better than reassurance. When you are scared about something or worried about something, just having that person coming to you and going, do you know what? It's going to be absolutely fine. I will be by your side. If you want to leave, it's okay. We can go off. We can get out of the situation. Just giving them that reassurance makes a massive difference. If you're telling me I've got to go to, we're going to lunch and there's going to be 2 people there that I don't know, my brain's exploded, all these questions have come out from the anxious voice. If you can come back to me, give me some answers, but then as the time goes on, even on the day, just text me and say, are you okay? Do you want to meet me first? That's always a really good one, by the way. Meet the person first before they put them into that situation, so you're walking into the situation together. There is nothing worse than having to walk into a situation on your own when you're feeling that level of anxiety. But the reassurance is key. It really, really is. Getting angry with us will not help anyone. It will make us more anxious, less likely to do it in the future, and it's just going to make you feel bad because you're angry. Anger's never a good thing, of course. I hope those 5 things do help you to help your anxious friend deal with change. Now, I fully realise that, not all change can be helped. Sometimes things change at the last minute and there's nothing you can do about it, and that's where number 5, the reassurance, is the most important part of that. And the one thing that I want to say to people that live with anxiety is if you don't want to be in that situation, don't be in it. Maintaining a good mental health is the most important thing that you need to do. So don't let other people push you into situations that you don't want to be in. Don't be afraid to say no. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please, please, please click the subscribe button. You can catch me on social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter as Ask Me I'm Bipolar. And of course, don't forget to check out the website, askmeimbipolar.com, where you can find written blogs, videos, and other things there. As always, I want to hear your comments, so please write them in the comments section below. If you've got any topics or questions that you'd like me to cover, send them to me, comment them to me, Facebook them to me, and I hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.